Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to the flight sim world. This is Viperstrike 95. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you're all doing well on this Sunday morning stream. So, today, this is day 43 of our around the world trip, and we're back here at Leon, Nicaragua today. And I'll be telling you guys this, but this will be the last around the world trip in about 2 weeks. And that's because I'll be heading out on vacation next Friday, so this would be the last time we do this around the world trip for quite a while. So guys, I hope you're doing well, and today we'll be exploring the country of El Salvador today. Now, El Salvador is actually the smallest country in all of Central America, so this shouldn't take too long of a stream. So that's why we're here today in the Vilga. So let's go over our flight plan for today. It should be a really simple flight plan for today. We'll start here at Lyon. We have one long leg over to Camarillo Airport, and then from there we'll head up to Los Comandos Airport, Mike Sierra 1 Bravo, and then from there we'll just head over to San Salvador. We'll fly around the city, including Lake Ilopango and San Salvador, and we'll make our way to Ilopango International. So we only have 3 legs in the stream. It's 191 nautical miles. This is a pretty short stream. We don't have to really worry about things too much. Let's say hello to the chat. We have my trusty moderator, Super Typhon. Good to see you, and hello to all the lurkers in chat. So again, we're taking the PZL Vilga for today's stream. Fun facts about this Vilga. For one, this plane is actually made in Poland, funnily enough. This was actually made during the Cold War in 1962. Over 1,000 have been built. It was mainly used by civil operators, even though there were military versions of it for training in liaison planes. It's got a very unique design with its landing gear configuration. It's also got very articulated landing gear and more. It can take off in short distances, and it doesn't go very fast. 105 nautical miles is the max speed, with a range of about 361 nautical miles and a service ceiling of 13,000 feet. These are very versatile planes. It can take off and land from short distances and more. Such a brilliant little Polish plane. For military operators, of course, we all know the Poles still use them, but also historically, the Moldovians, Latvians, Lithuanians, and Estonia have used it. Civilian operators, there is the Romanian Air Club has some of them, Hungarian police, in the UK Skybanner. So that's what we're flying here with today. Been a while since. Yeah, this is the build it looks like. Focus engine's on. Nice. Perfect. So that is how you turn on the Vilga, guys. And my compass is on, so this isn't going to be a very high climb. We're just going to climb to 4,500 feet, and our heading's going to be 308. So if you guys don't have the Vilga, don't worry about it. You guys are more than free to take a Savage Cub, X-Cub, Beaver. And we're off. Yeah, I do like the Vilga. Very, very nice bush plane. Like I said, I love Goffrin's bush planes. They make. Pretty easy stuff to get through. So I hope you're all doing well here. We're in the PZL Vilga, a really nice plane, one of my ads. Really cool little bush plane, one of my favorites. We're just turning the degrees back of our flight direction. So we do have to change this every once in a while. So I have to remind myself of this. So let's get started with our notes for today's stream. Let's go ahead and talk about El Salvador for a bit. So the country of El Salvador is located in Central America, bordered by the northeast by Honduras, Guatemala to the northwest, and south by the Pacific Ocean. The capital largest city is San Salvador, and the population is estimated to be 6.5 million people. Throughout the late 19th and 20th century, the country has endured chronic political and economic instability by coups, revolts, and secession of authoritarian rulers, mainly culminated in the Salvadorian Civil War, which lasted 12 years. Historically, El Salvador's economy has dominated by agriculture, beginning with the Spanish taking control of the indigenous cacao crop in the 16th century, and later with the rise of the indigo plant. That's where the country grew. Ever since then, it shifted towards coffee, and then before diversifying its economy during the late 20th century. However, El Salvador's HDI is actually 124th in the World Human Development Index, and it has one of the least complex economies in the world for doing businesses. This is actually a pretty solid country for doing business with. That's one of the big reasons why El Salvador might be pretty good for us. In terms of El Salvador's history, we might have to first go back to the prehistoric times, to the pre-Columbian era. The sophisticated civilization El Salvador dates to a settlement by the indigenous Lenca people, and they were the first and oldest indigenous civilization to settle here, tracing back to at least 600 AD. Though some people predicted they can go as far back as 700 BC. There's also presence of the other indigenous people, the Olmecs, though their role was unclear. And then centuries later, they were displaced by the Pipo people and the Nahua-speaking groups who migrated from Mexico around 800 AD. And they were the last indigenous people to arrive here before the Europeans. And there was also some archaeological cities such as Lago de Bugia and Joya de Seren that actually shows pre-Columbian Mayan cultures. With different cultural centers and stuff they discovered all over El Salvador. That was one of the big discoveries they made over in there. So in terms of the Europeans, the first known visit by Spaniards was in 1522 by Admiral Andres Nino when he disembarked the Gulf of Fonseca and named it Petronilla. But it wasn't until 2 years later when the Spanish first tried to conquer this area, led by Pedro de Alvarado and his brother Gonzalo, crossed the Rio Paz southward. And eventually they fought against some of the native tribes. However, they discovered there was little gold. But eventually they discovered the richness of the volcanic soil of El Salvador. Despite fierce native resistance over the past decades as well. Eventually the Spanish have conquered the area and it became part of Spanish control for the next 300 years. And they were part of the Captaincy General of Guatemala, or the Kingdom of Guatemala, as an administrative specter of Spain. El Salvador remained in this area until 1811, when a combination of internal and external factors motivated the elites to gain independence, and ultimately gain independence 10 years later, the Act of Independence of Central America, which meant that El Salvador was typically part of the Mexican Empire, and eventually after that, they became their own independent nation in 1841 from the Central Republic of Central America. During the mid-19th century and such, they grew an economy based on coffee growing. Coffee, you guys know, is a pretty big deal. And eventually, and then after coffee, they also had indigo as well. Indigo dye was a big deal, but eventually they grew more back into coffee. In 1898, General Thomas Delgado gained power by force, and as a result, there was quite a bit of instability, including a war with Guatemala in 1906. Until 1913, it was politically stable. However, this was the start of some pretty messy movements in El Salvador's history. Hey, Devil Dude, good to see ya. If I were to start my own virtual airline, that's a good question. I wanted to be with Firefly Air because I still want to retain their network. But if I were to start my own network, the main hub would be at Louisville, of course. It's my home airport. Louisville would be the main hub. Because it'd be North America, the main hub would be an SDF. It'd be the cargo hub, the SDF. Our West US hub, I'm probably going to say West United States is going to be Reno. If I were to start my own airport, Reno would be one of the hubs, Reno, Nevada. Is going to be the West Coast hub, you know. The Big Sky Country hub would be at Bozeman, Yosemite. See that for the Big Sky Country Northwest. Rocky Mountain region, probably Eagle County, or Albuquerque, maybe the Southwest. Texas would be in Austin. I think that would be where we want to do it, but it'll be mainly be in the United States. There's quite a bit of them. Still trying to figure out how everything would work. So, Devil, Dude, good to see you. We're here in Nicaragua. We're heading towards El Salvador, where we're going to be doing our stream today. So, let me get back to our history for a bit. We'll talk more about that once we. And then there was a dynasty that lasted between 1913 and 1927. And eventually, in 1931, there was a coup d'etat, and it led to pretty authoritarian figures. And it started the era of the La Matanza, which is a communist revolution in 1932, when thousands of poorly armed peasants revolted against the government, but the Salvadorian leadership crushed the rebellion and many of its leaders were captured and executed. One event that has happened during this time was due to the high Salvadorian population and with the country being quite small, it led to conflict with Honduras, the less densely populated Honduras. And all that eventually led to the 1969 football war between the two countries. And eventually, with the coup d'etat in 1979, it eventually caused, which brought a revolutionary government junta into power, which is a military dictatorship, eventually led to a civil war between them and the FMLN, the several guerrilla groups. Well, it led to the brutal Salvadorian Civil War, which lasted for 12 years. And one of the causes of that civil war was the assassination of Oscar Romero, which was the Roman Catholic Archbishop of San Salvador, when he denounced the injustice and massacres against civilians. He was assassinated by a death squad in the Civil War. An unknown number of people disappeared. The UN reports more than 75,000 people were killed during the Salvadorian Civil War. Eventually, though, in 1992, there was a peace deal between the government of El Salvador and the FMLN to finally end the 12-year Civil War. Ever since the Civil War ended back in 1992, here's the notes for that. That basically led to his assassination. Oh, nice, you're flying over Java. That's a nice place. Indonesia's pretty nice to fly over. We still got ways to go. We're getting to our. Eventually, though, afterwards, Salvador saved the National Republican Alliance from 1989 to 2004 and that lasted until 2009 when when Mauricio Funes, a television figure, actually became the first president from the left-wing party in 2009. And ever since economic reforms in the 1990s brought a lot of benefits in social conditions, diversification of the export sector, and access to international financial markets. Crime still remains a major problem, however. But eventually, one of the most interesting things happened during 2019, and that was the presidency of Nayib Bukele, the new president of El Salvador. And why is he so important? He's led to one of his most important things he's done is he led to a massive fight against the criminal gangs. More than 53,000 gang members were arrested, which reported the highest incarceration rate in the world, and dropped crime by nearly 70% in. And he then won re-election again in 2024 with 83% of the votes. Okay. Boucle. Okay, thank you, Typhon. Yeah, it's Bouk. It's Nea Boucle. Thank you. Thank you for that, Typhon, for the pronunciation. And even I could use a bit of help every once in a while. So that's the end of the history notes for El Salvador. We've got a bit ways to go before we end up here. Let's see who's flying along with us. Anyone's flying along. The scenery here is actually pretty nice here. Not bad. The satellite data for this area is actually pretty good around this area of Nicaragua. Bukele. Bukele. Yeah, Bukele. So, Devil Dude, if I were to create my own FS Hub airline, it would mainly be North America, which would contain Canada, Canada, United States, but also a bit of Mexico as well. So, if I were doing the United States, my hubs would be obviously the main one in Louisville. That's going to be the main cargo hub. My eastern hub, I have actually two East US hubs. In the east, we have a more northern hub at Pittsburgh. I believe I put it in. I think it's going to be at Bradley, probably be the northeastern United States hub in Bradley. That's probably going to be the northern hub. And then the more southern part of the East Coast hub is probably going to be in Florida. Probably going to be, I believe, Orlando. Would be Orlando, probably. Texas is going to be Austin. And then there's going to be two western hubs. We have a West Coast hub at Reno, and then the other Western Canadian hub be at Calgary. Then we have a central one in Winnipeg, and an eastern hub in Canada be Montreal. Mexico would be interesting, but I think Mexico would be obviously Guadalajara. It kind of gets underused compared to Mexico City, the bigger Mexico City. And then, of course, for the Caribbean, I know technically Ford is going to get to the Caribbean stuff, but if I had a dedicated one, it would probably be at Montego Bay. Finally, for Central America, I guess I'll probably put it in Costa Rica. San Jose, Costa Rica would be pretty. And then finally, Alaska would be probably Fairbanks. Fairbanks would be right in the center of Alaska. Type in chat if you know the answer. Hey, Spitfire REF, good to see you, my dude. We're heading to El Salvador today. Oh yeah, San Vicente Volcano. 40,000 inmates, yeah. Um, yeah, there's a lot of inmates. Yeah, there's a lot of those inmates. No, I think I'll see San Vicente. I won't be flying near it, but I will be flying around the thing. Yeah, 40,000 inmates. That's crazy. Yeah, there's a massive prison there. 40,000 inmates, that's pretty crazy. It was actually built pretty recently, too. They actually built it back in 2022. Um, it can handle 40,000 prisoners. Currently have 14,000, which is about a third of the population. So we're heading to there. Still got a... Here's some pretty interesting things about this plane. For one, you can actually fold the seats. You also got all sorts of other stuff. You got tons of goodies like first aid kit, guitar, or, but we don't really need them for right now. We're here just to get to San Salvador. So, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know Murph was on there this morning. He was on this morning flying the 777 for the first stream with the 777. He flew from San Francisco to LAX, then LAX to San Diego, and then the Cessna 172 to Catalina Island, which is pretty cool. I got a chance to visit Catalina Island during my vacation. I heard it's a really pretty place. So, there really isn't too many news right now, though there is a Tekken P 2008 coming to the sim, made by Urasan, who also worked on the P 2010 and P92 Tekken. They currently worked on that, and he said the beta is going to be by in September. That's what we're doing right now. The thing I'm most excited, though, for me at least, is going to be next Wednesday is going to be where Fireflyer is going to vote for its new Canadian home for Canada. That would be the most interesting to see where we're going to be in Canada coming next week. I believe the top three by far is going to be either Vancouver, Winnipeg, or Montreal. It's going to be one of those three. I doubt Ottawa and especially London are going to be anywhere near the top three. I would be surprised. but it's got to be those three. For me, I'm hoping it's Vancouver because I think Vancouver's absolutely gorgeous, and it's the best all-around hub between general aviation. It's by far the best GA airport for general aviation. It's really good for the airliners too, with stunning destinations such as Kelowna, Calgary, Edmonton, Prince George, Prince Rupert, and even destinations in Alaska like Juneau and Ketchikan, the Northwest, Seattle, Portland, Spokane, tons of great destinations. You can even do trans-Pacific operations to Japan and Asia, as it is actually the big trans-Pacific hub for China, more so than any other airport in North America or Europe. Of course, you can even do trans-Pacific, transatlantic stuff too. It's a bit long for it, but hey, you could do worse. Vancouver would be stunning, in my opinion. I can't wait. I can't wait for hopefully when Vancouver gets to be hub, because I may do a triple flight on that Wednesday. I was thinking about doing a triple threat. First is probably going to be a GA floatplane trip, Vancouver International over to Victoria Harbor. We'll be doing some amphibious ops in Victoria. Should be a short one in the Twin Otter. We'll do some floatplane stuff, and then part two would be with the ATR, I believe, from Vancouver over to Kamloops. Should be an insanely scenic flight. Is Kamloops, absolutely beautiful airport. Now test its capabilities as a regional airliner place for the farm. And then the third one I'm trying to plan is Vancouver over to Calgary, one of my favorite Canadian airports. Calgary is a great place. Got a stunning approach too. So we'll do plenty of flying in the area. That's what I'm hoping if we ever do Vancouver. Hey Roby, good to see you. I hope you're doing well, Roby. We're going to El Salvador today. We're taking the Vilga today. A plane I haven't taken it in a while. But I thought this would be a good plane for free. And speaking of next week, guys, we only will have one stream next week, and that's because I'll be heading out of town on next Friday. I'm going to be flying out to Boston. So we'll fly out to Boston, Massachusetts, and then spend a day in Boston, checking out Fenway Park and the Old Town, of course. You know, Boston's got one of the most well-known old colonial towns in the Northeast. And then afterwards, I got a 7-day cruise coming up, exploring Canada and New England. So we'll go Boston, Halifax, Nova Scotia, Sydney, Nova Scotia, Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, and finally Bar Harbor, Maine. So that's going to be a pretty cool trip. I'll talk more about the trip coming up once we do our next Wednesday. And speaking of next Wednesday, it would be I'll be doing a Boston Halifax shuttle between Boston and Halifax. So we'll fly out of Boston Logan. We'll fly from Logan International and make our way to Halifax. And then we'll just do the flight back and fly back to Boston that way. But I really wanted to do something like that. I think that would be a lot of fun. That would be a lot of fun, guys. Yeah, if you guys would like to join along, we're in the Southeast Asian server. If you can take anything and keep up with the Vilga, an X-Cub would do great. A Cessna 172, an X-Cub, or even a Beaver can definitely keep up with this. No problem whatsoever. Yeah, I enjoy the Vilga. It is super nice. Super nice little bush plane. It's made by Gottfriends, and they've made some incredible bush products. Can't wait to fly more of their stuff when 2024 comes. But yeah, well, hey, Quack, hey, Rubber Duck, good to see ya. Welcome on in, my dude. I hope you're doing well, Rubber Duck. So we're gonna head to our first stop here at Mike Sierra 1 Alpha. So let's go ahead. I want to talk a little bit about the geography of El Salvador while we're here. So El Salvador has over 300 rivers, and it's the smallest, most densely packed country in all of Central America. It is a very small country. Uh, it's known as the Tom Thumb of the Americas because of how small it is, which is pretty crazy to think about. This is a very small country in general. Its total area is, get this, 21,000 square kilometers. So it's called the Pulgarcito de America, the Tom Thumb of the Americas is what the nickname. But a lot of El Salvador to the south, it does have mountains in the region. Quite mountainous a bit, but not nearly as much as neighboring Honduras or Guatemala. But there's lots of volcanoes across. The most notable volcano is Volcan Charpastic, San Miguel volcano. In fact, I think we can actually see San Miguel volcano ahead of us. Because here's San Miguel, right ahead of us is San Miguel. The most prominent volcano in the entire country. And which has a lot of volcanic activity. The tallest volcano is actually Santa Ana volcano at over 7,800 feet. In fact, El Salvador has the second highest number of volcanoes in any Central American country, behind, you guessed it, and the country with the most volcanoes in Central America is quite a bit, and I believe oh yeah, the central country, oh yeah, Guatemala. Only Guatemala has more volcanoes than El Salvador. Pretty crazy to think about. The highest point is actually Cerro El Pital at 8,900 feet, which is its highest point. And there's two parallel ranges that cross El Salvador in the west with a central plateau and a narrow coastal point hugging the Pacific. Makes up a big part of its geography. But basically, it's pretty volcanic. Its climate is mainly a tropical climate, with the rare exception being a little bit of the plateaus, which is a bit more moderate. But there isn't very much seasonal changes. The rainy season, known as the Invierno, actually extends from May to October, and the rain can be as high as 78 inches of rain a year. Quite a bit for this part of the world. Well, there isn't a lot of stuff here for disasters and hurricanes. Then finally, for flora and fauna. For flora and fauna, of course, there's about 500 species of birds, 1,000 species of butterflies, 400 species of orchids, 800 species of trees, and 800 species of marine fish in the country. In fact, 6 of the 8 sea turtles actually nest on the coast of Central America, and 4 of them in El Salvador's coast, being including the largest of all living turtles, the leatherback turtle, the hawksbill, the green sea turtle, and the olive ridley, and the hawksbill in particular is a critically endangered turtle. There's been a lot of conservation efforts to help the country's biodiversity. But despite all that, it's ranked 136 out of 172 in the Forest Landscape Integrity Index. So there isn't a lot of it. But I can tell you one thing though, the country does have a national bird, by the way. The country's national bird is the turquoise-browed motmot, which is known in El Salvador as the guara barranco. is the torgros. They both share the same national bird. One of the unique things about this bird is, unlike many other bird species, which only male has expressive traits, this bird species has elaborate traits in both of male and female. And more broadly, their call is a nasal croaking and far carrying cry. It's kind of nasal, it croaks, and it is a far carrying cry, which can be heard all over the ring. It's a beautiful looking bird. Yep, the dev stream's this Wednesday as well, Typhon. Man, this is pretty, man. A lot of people think, oh, Viper, like, Central America doesn't have the greatest data. And flying around Central America is just an absolute. What's he was flying along with? Oh, hey, Rubber Duck's here in the Hercules. Oh, welcome in, my dude. Great to see you. But yeah, for the Boston Halifax shuttle, we will be actually flying the Boeing 737. We'll be flying the Boeing 737 for that stream. So don't worry about it. We'll take the 737 for that stream. But here's the thing, though. If Vancouver ever becomes the hub, I might also do after those triple threat flights, when I get back, I might do another Vancouver thing. But this time with the 777, and I want to take the 777 to somewhere a lot more interesting than you think. I was thinking about the 777 flying over to Whitehorse, which should be a really exciting flight. Over to Vancouver to Whitehorse. That should be an absolutely incredible flight. I know the gates are quite small, but imagine flying the 777 all the way to beautiful Whitehorse. It would be absolutely incredible. Yeah, we're about to reach our first lane stop here today. Mike Sierra 1 Alpha. This will be our very first lane stop of the day here. Hope you guys are enjoying the information. If you guys are enjoying it, join my Discord. You guys are more than welcome to join here. I'll keep you up to date with all my streams and stuff. So, we'll do that. Of course, after this, the next 2 around-the-world trips will be when I get back, of course, on the Friday and Sunday of the week I get back. We'll be visiting Guatemala and Honduras and Belize. No, wait. Honduras and Guatemala will be the next 2 days. Honduras and Guatemala. We'll be flying back from Ilopango. We'll make our way to, of course, the infamous Toncontin Airport before flying to La Ceiba and San Pedro Sula. And then for Guatemala, we'll make our way over to Guatemala City and Quetzaltenango. Quetzaltenango, and that would be, and then final with one final landing over to Playa Grande Airport. And that would be before we get to Belize, and eventually start on Mexico, with a trip through the Mayan coast of Mexico, then fly over to Mexico City, then do a flight through Jalisco. We'll check out Guadalajara and Puerto Vallarta, which I think you guys are going to absolutely enjoy. If not, I'll probably do some airliner stuff instead. Mexico City to Guadalajara, then to Monterrey, and then finally into Tijuana. Get back to the United States. Got a lot of stuff to talk about in Mexico, which makes sense. Mexico is one of the most significant countries in the Americas, along with Canada and the United States. They're one of the big three in North America, along with the United States and Canada. Hey, Filthy, good to see you, Filthy. 2214, good to see you, Filthy. I hope you're doing well, my dude. About to land our first stop. So yeah, we're doing quite good with Firefly Air. So far, our airline's doing quite well. Oh yeah, actually there is a bit of news, and a pretty big one actually. So if you guys aren't aware, Perigu, the developers for Belfast Airport, Perigu, development company has released a new Edinburgh Airport 2, the updated version of it. It's going to come out next week, which is a newly updated Edinburgh Airport. So it's going to feature improvements in their scenery, and it's one of the busiest airports in the United Kingdom. It's going to come out next week, by the way. And what I can tell from the pictures, of course, if you know anything about their sceneries, Irig is right up there as one of the best scenery developers for along with Indie Builds and Drzezinski Design. So we're gonna get a new Edinburgh Airport, guys. This should be pretty exciting. Here we go, guys. First land of the day here in El Salvador. But yeah, the landing gear on this thing is quite far down. So gotta be a little careful when you try to land this thing. $250, that's not bad. Inga 287, that's not bad at all. Just park right here. And you wonder why I'm parking here? Well, because, it's a Vilga. It does not need a lot of space to take off. The bush plane, it's a bush plane to take off. So, hopefully park here for a bit. If anyone else wants to join on in, by the way, you guys are more than welcome to join on in. We're the Southeast Asian server. We're stopped here at Mike Sierra 1 Alpha for our first stop of the day. Just take something that can at least keep up with the Vilga. I'll be flying around 105 to 110 knots, so just get something to keep up with that. here for just a bit. If anyone wants to join in, we got plenty of time here. Oh, no stress about this. So guys, we got plenty more notes for El Salvador. I have written plenty of notes for El Salvador. Our second leg will be just 36 nautical miles. We'll fly over to Los Comandos Airport. If we get a good chance, we might see the volcano San Miguel on our way there. Get some pretty good screenshots here, guys. Let's go ahead and get ready to... I'll just wait here for takeoff if anyone wants to join in. I'll just meet you guys at the out the runway. And take back off. The thing is, yeah, this Vilga, with its high wing and all that, should have no problem taking it. Okay. We're off. So we're going to climb all the way up to 3,000 feet this next leg. An absolutely gorgeous area today. El Salvador's nice. But yeah, pretty big news going to be on Wednesday. So for the community, of course, since I'm part of Two Joe Murphy's, as one of his admins for Firefighter, I want to talk about what Murph's going to be doing this week, since I'm a very prominent part of his community. On Monday, he'll be back tomorrow. He'll be doing part 3 of his Tour de France, the inaugural 1903 race. He'll be flying the Latico Air 631, one of the really most unique planes ever brought into the sim, by the way. I didn't install it because I didn't really need it very much, but I have flown it. It's actually one of the best of the Microsoft planes. One of my favorites. They fly from Marseille to Toulouse, and then of course to the city of Bordeaux. So pretty cool stuff. So he'll be flying that Monday. He'll be doing Euro Truck Sim 2 on Tuesday. Wednesday, he'll have the Flight Sim News, of course. And then Friday, sadly, I can't make it to the Royal Air Tattoo event. Sadly, I can't make it. I'm going to be in Boston when all this is happening. I'm going to be in Boston, Massachusetts when all this is going on, sadly. So I can't make it. Balls. That one should be an awesome flight. So yeah, we're going to be heading down to Miguel. So let's go ahead and talk more notes about El Salvador for a bit. So in terms of its government, by the way, the government is based off its 1983 Constitution. It is a democratic representative government. Three bodies are the executive branch, headed by the president. He's elected by directed vote and remains in office for 5 years with no re-election, though he can be elected after sitting out one electoral period. He's also the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. Then you have the legislative branch, which is a unicameral legislative assembly, has 84 deputies. The judiciary is headed by the Supreme Court, comprising of 15 judges, one of them being elected as president of the judiciary. It's mainly a democratic republic. However, despite that, though, it's the fifth least electoral democratic country in all of Latin America and in the Caribbean. One of the least democratic of all. So that's definitely something to consider here in El Salvador. Now, economically, of course, it's hampered plenty of times by natural disasters like hurricanes and earthquakes and government policies. And, of course, corruption's historically been a big problem in El Salvador, has been corruption. Its GDP is $57.95 billion in 2021. The biggest sector was services, followed by industrial and agricultural sectors. And it's been a challenge for El Salvador to develop new growth sectors for a more diverse economy. So, all that's a pretty big deal. El Salvador is also one of the leading countries in the world of remittances. In 2019, 2.5 million Salvadorans lived in the United States, and about a third received remittances. Which makes sense. El Salvador economically just isn't doing that well economically. That sector. And then finally, El Salvador's energy is diversified across between fossil fuels, hydroelectrics, and other renewables, mainly geothermal for local electricity production, along with a reliance on imports for oil, are the main sectors for El Salvador's economy. So in recent years, tourism has increased about 1.3 million, 1.4 million international tourists visit El Salvador. Mainly people visit El Salvador's beaches and nightlife. It's quite different from other Central American countries because of its small size, lots of urbanization, so there's not a lot of ecotourism stuff. However, it's still got great beaches, volcanoes, and that's what attracts over 1 million tourists to visit El Salvador. You can definitely tell this area has some really interesting geography. Of course, here's the volcano San Miguel, the most prominent volcano in the country, San Miguel. Now, we won't be flying near there, obviously. I still wanted to I do greatly enjoy using the Vilga. It is a super nice push. One of the best push points in the set. Definitely a favorite. Yeah, really cool river. So there's San Miguel. But yeah, there's a couple more ideas as well. So if that's if Vancouver becomes a hub when I get back. If Winnipeg ends up being the hub on the Wednesday I get back, um, then I think it would be Winnipeg over to. I think a fun one would be Winnipeg over to Churchill, which would be a pretty fun, longer flight, but it would be a pretty fun one to fly up to Upper Manitoba, of course. That would be a pretty fun, longer flight to do. There's tons of lakes all across Manitoba. That would be fun, or over to Saskatoon probably would also be. And of course, if Montreal ends up being the hub, I guess we could do Montreal-Toronto shuttle between, well, two of Eastern Canada's most important cities of Montreal and Toronto. That would be a pretty fun flight, and also because, well, the two hockey teams in Montreal and Toronto do not like each other one bit. If you ever get to know your NHL hockey, I think you would know. So after this, we got one more leg, the longest leg of the second longest leg of the trip, and we'll be flying over. We'll fly to San Salvador, which is going to be quite a bit of a trip, and we'll cover the rest of the slides in El Salvador once we get there. Pretty important stuff going forward. So there's a couple more volcanoes. San Miguel is basically lined up with a bunch of other volcanoes being former craters all across this area, including La Piedra in Conda and more. But there's tons of volcanoes in this area. The other alternative I could do is I could stream on Thursday and do the next Firefly Air thing as well for the new Canada Hub, but I don't know. I don't stream on Thursday. That's one day I haven't. So our second stop is going to be a pretty one. We're going to land here at runway 01. Have a quick landing. Yeah, beautiful airport. Should be a nice GA airport. So yeah, coming soon is going to be a brand new football game, College Football 25. I might be tempted to get an Xbox just so I can play College Football 25. Which I can't believe they're finally bringing back an EA College Football game. Hey, there's Kestrel. Good to see you, Kestrel. Welcome on in. Via 35. So we're going to be making our first stop here shortly. Yeah, Firefighter we also got a new achievement, mountain climbing China. Visiting the high elevation airports of China, so this should be a very interesting challenge. Beautiful area here. Beautiful stunning area. Okay, close to the airport very soon. This will be our second stop of the day. Still got one final stop left to go. That's to San Salvador. We got one final stop left. Again, this didn't even take too much long either, so. full second air for this. So next Wednesday's flight, the Friday I get back is going to be 299 nautical miles, so it'll take something quite a bit quicker. Perfect. Yeah, that was a good lane. Negative 180. Much. We'll just park here for just a minute. See if anyone else wants to join on in. If none of you guys want to join on in, we'll just get back and get ready to complete the final leg of the trip. Complete our El Salvador tour. We're going to climb the 4,500 feet, this one. Someone crashed. Oh dear. Yeah, I bet so. Oops. heading our way over to San Salvador now, capital city of El Salvador. We're gonna climb up. Let's go ahead and talk about the culture of El Salvador since we're here. El Salvador's culture pulls from both Spanish and European and other European traditions with African influences and indigenous influences. You can find a composite population as a result of intermarrying between natives, European settlers, and enslaved Africans. The Catholic Church also plays a big role in Salvadoran culture, especially with Oscar Romero, a national hero in resisting human rights violations. There are also other Jesuit priests and professors like Ignacio de la Curia, Ignacio Martin Barro, and Segmento Monte, who were murdered in 1989 by the Salvadoran army. Painting, ceramics, and textiles are primary artistic mediums, with all sorts of writers and poets as well. Play a big role in El Salvadorian culture. Of course, one of the big parts that reflects in El Salvador's culture has been cuisine. Salvador, one of its most notable dishes is pupusa, which is handmade tortillas made of maize rice flour dough, stuffed with either cheese, chicharron, which is fried pork belly or pork rinds, or refried beans. Sometimes it can be cheese with loroco. And it's considered a Mesoamerican ancestral legacy and the most popular dish nationally, and it's been designated the national dish of El Salvador. Other El Salvador dishes include yuca frita and panes con pollo. Yuca frita is basically deep fried cassava roots served with pickled cabbage, with curtido, which is a pickled cabbage, onion, and carrot topping, pork rinds, with pescaditas, fried baby sardines. Pan con pollo, which is bread with chicken, are chicken-filled submarine sandwiches. The birds marinated and roasted with spices and hand-pulled, served with tomato and watercress along with cucumber, onion, mayonnaise, and mustard. Further along, a popular drink that Salvadorians enjoy is horchata, which is made of morel seed ground into a powder and added to milk and water and sugar, and is drunk year-round and can be drank any time of the day. So its music does play a role in its culture. Big part of Salvador's culture. terms of his music, his traditional music is a mix of indigenous Spanish and African influences. It includes religious songs, which mainly used to celebrate religious holidays. Other music includes danza, pasillo, marcha, and canción, which consists of bring bands, street performances, or on-stage dances. In those, Jericho and rural lyric themes are common, and one of the most traditional instruments used is the marimba, which is a percussion instrument with wooden bars struck by mouths. Its well-known folk dance is known as the zouk, which actually originated in around the El Salvador area and has become customary listening radio party in the country. Are big parts of its culture. And finally, for sports, football is the most popular sport in El Salvador. They compete. The national teams qualify for the FIFA World Cup in both 1970 and 1982. The national team plays at Estadio Criscatón in San Salvador, and it can seat 53,000 people, the largest stadium in both Central America and the Caribbean. So it's actually a pretty large football stadium. So that basically just wraps up the culture part of El Salvador. That wraps up culture. We have Castro and Rubber Duck with us. Good to see you too. Thanks guys for coming along on today's stream. Got some pretty big stuff going forward. Look at that, man. That's pretty impressive. Yeah, picture me for those aerobatics. Incredible views of the scenery. This is gorgeous. Nice scenery here, guys. Guys, thank you all so much for coming on today's stream. This has been a lot of fun, guys. Beautiful scenery, beautiful landscapes here today. So, let's talk about some fun facts about El Salvador since we're getting pretty much near there. There's quite a few interesting fun facts about El Salvador. For one, the country's name actually comes from Conquistador Pedro de Alvarado. He named the area Provincia de Nuestro Señor Jesus Cristo El Salvador del Mundo, which translates to El Salvador. That's the full name of the area. El Salvador is the only country in Central America that has no visible population of African descent, and that's because a lot of the population is intermarried each other, so there's no visible African descent. Some words in El Salvador include chuco, which is dog instead of perro, which is the traditional Spanish word for dog. It's chuco. Chucho, and there's chuco, which is dirty instead of sucio. Pisto, which means money instead of dinero, which is the traditional Spanish word for it, and salud, which is goodbye instead of adios. So they have a few words that's actually different from main Spanish. And finally, the last fun fact is the national flower, the flor de izote. It could actually be eaten pickled, steamed, or even mixed with eggs. And they actually heard it's quite tasty. Those flowers are. We're getting ever closer to the capital city. We're just 50 nautical miles out from the major city. Once we go there, we'll fly around the San Salvador area. We'll check out the natural scenery here. Set up our final landing of the day. Oh, nice. Yeah, that might be. We might rate Can-Do then. Yeah, we could definitely rate Can-Do afterwards. Absolutely. That would not. That would be a good idea. Yeah, I think we could definitely do that. I don't have a problem with that. Thank you, Typhon. Hey, DigiDriver, good to see you. Good morning, my dude. We're about to head over to San Salvador very soon. We're not far at all. We're in El Salvador so far. We started back in Leon in Nicaragua. We head our way up to El Salvador. You know, this is a pretty short trip because, if you guys know, El Salvador is a very small country. It's the smallest country in all Central America. Even smaller than Belize, I believe. So it's a pretty small area. stuff. Oh, nice. Raspberry Pi. Nice. Ah, some programming stuff. Something I may never learn how to program. Ever in my lifetime. I don't think I could ever learn how to master programming. Beyond my level of education. Oh, cool! A random arrival app. Oh, that's pretty cool. So you pick a random arrival and you can probably pick your departure. You randomize your departure and arrivals and stuff. Ah, that's a very interesting one. I like that idea. Always get you something more to fly. Sure. I think it's funny that it'd be like a little FBO. Oh, that would be very cool. A little FBO. Ah, nice. That sounds like a pretty fun idea, there, Driver. That sounds cool. So we're gonna be visiting San Salvador today. This is the capital city of El Salvador, and its largest city. Now, the city itself has a population of 525,000 people, but its metropolitan area can go all the way up to 2.4 million people. It's home to the government's buildings of all sorts of El Salvador, and it's the cultural, political, educational, financial center of the country. It's located in the Salvadorian highlands, surrounded by volcanoes, and it's often prone to earthquakes due to it being in the Pacific Ring of Fire. It's hosted plenty of other events, like the Central American and Caribbean Games, 3 separate occasions, and the Central American Games in 2 separate ones. Not to mention, there are plenty of sites of interest, including the historic downtown, which has been built here since the 16th century. And one of the most famous buildings here in the city is the National Palace, built in 1870. It contains 4 main rooms and 101 secondary rooms. It's mainly used for receptions held by the Foreign Ministry of El Salvador. There's also the Metropolitan Cathedral and the National Theater, as well as a couple of parks, museums, and more. So that's a big part about El Salvador, San Salvador to learn about. And finally, of course, the airport. Now, we're not visiting the larger Von Sir Oscar Airport. That's not the one we're visiting today. We're actually going to be visiting Ilopango Airport, which was once the international airport of El Salvador until 19. So currently nowadays, it's used for military, air taxi, and charter aviation only. It also hosts its annual air show and the El Salvadorian National Air Museum. It used to be one of the largest and busiest airports in Central America. However, with the Cold War and the Civil War, they had to build a new airport further south. Still, it still sees some charter services on for destinations like Guatemala City, San Pedro Sula, and Tarcon Airport. So it used to serve destinations like New Orleans, Miami, Mexico City, Belize, and Panama City, Costa Rica. It's even served New York City in Madrid. And again, a lot of it has to do like Simbri. Challenges because you want to do yourself. Yep, it's always good to challenge yourself every once in a while with improving your own skills with code and all that. It's good to give you some bit of challenge. That way you know what to do in the future. Sometimes you can't just beat all the experience and how to make things work. Nothing wrong with a good challenge. So this is Lake Ilopango, the main lake in this area, by the way. So this lake surrounds the entire city, of course. Now, if you want to look at if you want to find where the international airport is nowadays, it's actually further south. Which is beyond the mountains is the new airport in El Salvador, which is right in this area. That's not the one we'll be visiting today. Yeah, the scenery here is really nice here. Nice scenery here today, guys. Really been enjoying this. So once we get in this area, we'll turn right, 288, and then fly through the metropolitan area, by the city, and make a landing here at runway 33. Find somewhere to park and wrap up the street. But man, what a great flight, guys. El Salvador's a little gem, that's for sure. Very beautiful lake. Like I said, this sim is just so good for the world in a whole new light. Yep, it is a nice engine sound. Yep, the engine sound um, on the Vilga is nice. The Gotthard's Vilga. Yeah, we're about to head to downtown El Salvador. gonna go ahead and go down. We'll just fly to the capital city. Yeah, it's got a lot of really cool stuff. The guy Prince Vilga is just so nice. It still is one of the best aerial aviation. Yeah, what a beautiful run. So here we are, guys. We're just about to arrive at our airport for our final stop of the day. This has been a great stream here, guys. I've been really enjoying this stream. I think the next time we get back into Honduras and Guatemala, should be a really fun time. I know Honduras got some mountainous areas to fly over, and so does Guatemala. These would be two very stunning. Try to land inside the volcano. No, I'm not trying to land inside the volcano. Thank you very much. Oh, that's a great screen. What a stunning screen. What an incredible screen. That is pretty. What a view. What an absolutely beautiful view. The lake and the volcano. San Vicente volcano. And it would. Yeah, yeah, the camera's just super nice. That's one of the nice things about like the flight sim is the camera. Just gorgeous area. Just a stunning area in general. It's just really nice. Like that's the great thing about the sim is there are it. If it wasn't for the sim, I wouldn't know these areas like that even existed. Guys, that is how we wrap up the stream. Go ahead and kill the engine. Go ahead and wrap up the. Hey, welcome, Nick. Good to see you guys. And we have unpacked our cargo and stuff. And we finally made it to beautiful El Salvador. So, guys, thank you all so much for this flight. This has been a very enjoyable stream here today. We will be back on Wednesday for the Firefly Air flight. We'll be doing a shuttle run between Boston and Halifax in honor of my trip coming. So we'll be doing it. In fact, outside of that, I might do a special surprise Thursday stream if we ever find out which of our Canadian airports is going to be Firefly's new Canada hub. I might stream on Thursday. So stay tuned. So we're going to go ahead and set up the raid to our good friend O Can Do. I hope you guys are enjoying your stream as this pit is just doing donuts like it's a drifting car. So take care, everyone, and have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and see you on Wednesday. Goodbye, everyone, and have a fun day.